This is a Zebra TC53. It is an Android device, but we're not sure which version, and there are a couple options available on the Zebra support site. So I wanted to go through that process of figuring out what you have and how you can upgrade. The easy things here are power button, integrated barcode scanner, right? Barcode, excuse me, power button, just hold it down until you see the splash screen. Should maybe buzz in your hands as well. There you go. Then you can let go and let it boot up. While it's booting up, I'll show you a couple other things. Left, right, or up, down arrow for volume. And we're also going to use this to control a menu selection later on. Barcode scanner, again, power button. And another nice thing about this feature, you don't need a dock. You have a USB-C cable connection here for powering the battery, which is nice. Okay, so once you're up and running, pull down once. If you have to pull down a second time, do so, and then until you find this little setup cog. So click that. Then scroll all the way up until you see this About Phone. Click that, and it'll tell you Android 11. Yep. And then also scroll all the way up and look at the build number and take note of that build number. It's very important that you do, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay. So now knowing that it's Android 11, and it has this build number of 11, 17, 16, la la la. All right, let's go back to a Google browser or a browser and Google Zebra TC53 firmware. You'll see a couple things. Click on this link. It'll bring you right to the support page, and it shows you that, hey, I've got Android 13 and 11. Cool. I'll stick with 13, see if I can download the files. Now, you might be tempted to just take the latest version and do full update and download this zip file, which is 2 gigabytes, and it'll take you, 8 to 10 minutes. Well, depending upon your bandwidth, right? But it's a sizable file. And if you do that and install that, it won't work on many TC53s. And the reason why is in the release notes. The release notes will tell you that, well, if you have Android 11, you have to be pretty much at that last revision level for Android 11 before you can upgrade to 13. So it says device must have Android 11, at least 11, 21, 27, or greater. So in this case, I have a reader that has to be upgraded to this version of Android 11 before I can upgrade it to Android 13. So it's a two-step process. This is going to take a while, and this is one of those few situations where it may be worthwhile looking at Zebra's Stage 1 software. I've never liked the software personally because, I'm not an IT guy and I don't deal with 100 readers. So it has its advantages when you're dealing with large numbers of readers, or in this case, I got to do the upgrade process twice. So it's almost like double the number of readers in a way. So it might be advantageous to go through the limited documentation that there is and deal with the nomenclature that they don't explain, all of the things that I, as a non-IT person, hate about stage 1, right? But by all means, there's a reason for it, and this could be it. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the process for doing it with an SD card, just like I would if you were just doing one step on this. So we start with knowing that I need to update this. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the power button. Oops, sorry, gotta be logged in here first. Hold the power button and power off. All right. And then I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to pull these two things, pinch them together, and then you should be able to pull the battery out. And you'll see that there's a little SD card option here. I should say micro SD card. Pull this little rubbery tab on it, and you'll get the lid off. Slide this to the right, and then it'll flip open. And I have had a lot of trouble getting standard SD cards in here, micro SD cards in here. But you do your best, and if it doesn't fit in there with a click, then just hold it down, put the battery in, it should work. Okay, so that's how we're going to upgrade it now. I have previously downloaded um, the Android 11 one. I'm just going to use the latest version here. And you'll notice that if you did catch that, the Android 13 file was 2.2 gig. This is a little over 1 gig, it's a little bit smaller. So as you go from 11 to 13, it's quite sizable. I took that file, it's just a zip file, and I use a micro SD to USB adapter, and I still have one plugged in here. I named it that. I right click it, I use format, and I formatted it to the defaults here. You can use the quick format feature in this one. You don't have to rewrite everything to 0. I've already done it. I've already downloaded the zip file for this Android 11 2716 release 0 standard blah blah blah. Okay, so that's on there. I'm going to now remove this from the PC. I'll take my SD card out of my little adapter, funky little adapter. I'll stick this in here. I hope you can see what I'm trying to do. And I do find, again, this is a little bit of a bugger to actually get in there and snap in. If it doesn't want to sit properly, just remember, hey, this isn't permanent. This is just a temporary few minutes kind of use of this. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to put my battery in, slam it down on top, and hold it in that way. Okay, real world, right? All right, so now when you're going to boot this device to an SD card as opposed to the operating system that's on there, you've got two buttons you got to hold. Power, and this one over here. So hold this one down and be prepared to hold that for a while, right? So pinch and hold, now hold the power. And when the splash screen comes up, you can let go only the power button. Keep the other one pressed. Keep it pressed until your hand starts to cramp up a little bit. And then sooner or later, you should see this screen. All right, that screen says reboot system now. Well, that's obviously not what we want to do. We want to pick something else in this menu. To scroll down in the menu, use the down arrow for your volume. So I'm going to go down, upgrade from ADB. Nope. Upgrade from SD card. Yes. Okay, how do I say I'm selecting that one? Go to the power button, click once, right? Now it's going to come back and say choose a package to install. That's not correct. So let's use the down arrow again until we get to this. AT full update, and it lists your zip file. Select it by hitting the power button again, right? And then you'll start to see some messages come in on the bottom. And I apologize for the low quality of the camera here, but it's going to verify the package. It's going to uncompress it. There's usually like 1 or 2 steps to installing the firmware, and this takes about 5 to 8 minutes as well. So we're obviously not going to sit here and wait for it. So I'm going to put this down. We'll pause, and we'll come back. All right, come back to my. Whoops, sorry. There you go. Come back here again. And it's almost, yeah, it says now step 1 of 2, step 2 of 2, install from SD card complete. And now the next thing you can do is you can just say reboot system now, or you can say power off. And your choice. If you want to validate that you have in fact updated to that firmware, go ahead and hit reboot. And again, you select with the power button. And this time we're not going to hold this left-hand key. We're just going to let it boot up straight on its own. And hopefully it does that. And if it doesn't, we'll just hold the key down. There it goes. It's booting now. It vibrated in my hand. So we'll check, again, hitting the setup cog. We'll check the build number for this just to make sure it's at that the latest version of Android 11. Then we'll power it off, swap the SD cards, and then we'll upgrade further on to Android 13. So let's wait till this gets done. It does take a while to boot, eh? There we go. come down, hit setup, scroll up, about phone, scroll again, and now my build number is 112716. Remember before I think it was 1116 something. All right, so we're good. Let's go back to our home page, power it off. We're going to remove our battery, remove our SD card for going to the latest version of 11. Stick the 13 SIM in here, or 13 SD card. Really hard to get that to lay down. Don't know why. It's probably just the cards that I picked. I don't know. And then we'll just pinch it in here with this. And we'll do the exact same process. Oops, sorry. I must have turned it on. So we're going to power it off and then power it on again while holding this. And then we'll repeat the process for updating to 13. Let me pause and I'll get you to that point again. Okay, so now holding the left button, holding the power button, wait until we see the splash screen, let go of the power button only. Keep pinching here until we see that it's like a Linux screen, right? We use the volume keys to go down, SD card, select with the power card, go down now to select the zip file for Android 13, hit this one. You'll now see the messages down here will start to scroll indicating that it's verifying the package. This again is going to take another 5 to 8 minutes. So I'm going to pause again and we'll come back at the end of the process. Okay, we're ready to close this up. It finished install from SD card complete. We're going to go to reboot system now. Just remember you can pull your battery at some point and pull that SD card out. You don't need it anymore. And as it boots up, it should hopefully be Android 13. It wouldn't surprise me if this takes a while to boot up as the first time. And see if it actually, because it's Android 13, if it forces us to go through the Google update process or the Google start from beginning process. Probably will. So let's see. Does seem to take a while, didn't it? And sure enough, you have to go through the process of going through the Google account startup and all of that again. So I'm not going to go through that here. It just recognized that when you're going from 11 to 13, you're going to have to go through and do the full setup, connect to a Wi-Fi, put in your Google account to be able to download things from the Play Store, etc., etc. So that can be handled in a different video. Anyway, hope that's useful.